Good morning, everyone. We have arrived last time to page 85, and we have been in this scene of the restaurant where there was a rising tension between Biff on the one hand and Willie Loman on the other hand. We saw that Biff was trying to explain to Willie what went on in his waiting for Bill Oliver, but we saw that Willie was not willing to listen, and he was always interrupting Biff. So there was a kind of quarrel between them. And we arrived to a certain place where Willie was imagining the voice of Bernard, the young Bernard, who was saying to him that Biff has a flanked mouth. And so you see here, young Bernard frantically, Mr. Loman, Willie says, no, you have to go and flank math. And Biff was saying, what math? What are you talking about? So we see Biff is kind of puzzled. He doesn't know what his father is talking about because the event of flanking math happened 15 years ago. And so Biff cannot imagine that Willie Loman still has this in his mind. Okay, so we see that there is a confusion because Willie Loman is kind of distracted between the present. He's speaking to Biff about something, and also the past. He imagines that he is speaking to Bernard. Okay, and so Biff was trying again and again to explain to Willie what happened, but we have also the intrusion again and again of the voice of young Bernard. Not only Bernard, but also we have the appearance of Linda. And Linda was also shocked when she has heard that Biff has flanked Matt. Okay, so she was asking about where Biff is, and young Bernard says, no, he left. He went to Grand Central. This is the name of the hotel, I think. You mean he went to Boston? Bernard is Uncle Willie in Boston. So this is the scene that Bernard was trying to collect, you remember, and to gather what happened before when he was asking Willie in the office of Charlie of what really happened. So Biff was asking his father, and father was saying, yeah, sure, if you hadn't flanked, okay. And Biff still puzzled. Flanked what? What are you talking about? Willie, don't blame everything on me. I didn't flank Math, you did. Okay, what pen? So you see that he was speaking about math, about the past, and at the same time he's speaking and turns to speak about the present, about the fountain pen that Biff said he had kind of stolen from the office of Bill Oliver. And now they come to speak about the stealing of the pen, and Willie says to him, "You stole Bill Oliver's fountain pen," and Biff says, "I didn't exactly steal it." Okay, so here we have a kind of euphemism, and it has been used previously in the play. Like euphemism is a figure of speech when you try to tell something bad, but try to use some words that are not as bad as the event itself. So instead of steal, instead of saying that he has stolen something, you say he has taken something. Okay, or as we saw before, when Woody Loman knows that his son stole a ball from the locker room, he says he borrowed it. Okay, so instead of steal, you can say take or borrow. So here Biff says, I did not exactly steal it. Okay, Happy is giving another explanation, which is sort of funny and silly at the same time. He had it in his hand, and just then Oliver walked in. So, as if Biff did not take the pen, no action happened between on the part of Biff to take the pen, but rather it was the pen, as if it was the pen who went into the hand of Biff. Okay, so just they are trying to justify that. Okay, and now what complicates things further is that Willie starts to remember what happened in the hotel room. Okay, and we hear the operator like running on Willie Loman, and Willie says, "I'm not in my room." And Biff is frightened. He doesn't know what his father is talking about. And he says, "Dad, what's the matter?" Okay, and Willie still, you see, remembers the operator and so on. Okay, and so they try to calm Willie down in order to know what is really going on to him, what he really what really happened to him. And so in order to do that, Biff starts lying to Willie. and he's taking the advice of Happy. You remember Happy said to him that your father is not concerned about facts, but rather he just wants to hear what he likes to hear. Okay, so Biff is lying and he says, Oliver talked to his partner about the Florida idea. Are you listening? Okay, and so later on he says to him, "Look, Pop, I am supposed to have lunch with them tomorrow." So he's just trying to imply to Willie Loman that everything went well with the appointment with Bill Oliver, and that Bill Oliver is contemplating the project that Biff has submitted, and so everything is going all right. Okay, so and Willie Roman is encouraged to say to Biff that you have to go to him tomorrow and speak to him. But Biff is trying to say that I have stolen previously some balls from him, and now I have stolen the fountain pen. So I feel very ashamed to go there. And so his father says to him, in spite of that, try to go and explain to him uh, why the or how the fountain pen came to your hand. And so there is kind of argument between Biff and Willie. Biff says, I cannot go back to the office of Bill Oliver because of what I did. And Willie is saying, you didn't anything, just try to explain to him and you will be okay. Well, things are even more complicated with the appearance of the woman, and we have the appearance of the woman in the imagination of Willie Loman. And so the woman was saying, someone is at the door, Willie, and this is the hotel room scene when Biff discovered that Willie Loman is cheating on Linda. Okay, so in the room there was the woman and Willie, and there was knocking at the door, and it was Biff who was knocking at the door, and the woman was asking Willie to open the door. Okay, and so the scene is even further complicated by the entrance of the two girls. Okay, you remember the one, Miss Fawcett, and her who brought her friend in later. Okay, so Biff kind of ignores Willie. He ignores his father, and he says to Fawcett, "Okay, how are you, Miss? Sit down. What do you drink?" Okay, so they try to ignore Willie because like they feel embarrassed by the behavior that their father is showing. And here, Biff is trying even further to calm him down. So he's going to him and go on, sluggard, rank us under the table. To hell with it. Come on, sit down, pal. Okay, on Biff's last insistence, Willie is about to sit. So when Biff insists on him to sit on the table on which everyone else is sitting, um, Willie sort of agrees to sit. Okay, but at this moment, the woman appears and she was urgent and she was saying to him, Willie, are you going to answer the door? Okay, so the woman's call pulls Willie back and he starts, all right, okay, befuddled. So he tries to rise up to go to the door. Okay, he still kind of hears what the woman was saying, and at the same time he is interacting with Biff and Happy. So he's kind of, as we said before, kind of schizophrenic. He part of him is in the present, is living in the present, and the other part of him is living in the past. So he wants to go to the door, and when they ask him what door, he says, I want to go to the washroom. So Willie Loman is going to the washroom, and this gives time to Biff and Happy, and mainly to Happy, to deal with the girls. Okay, and so they are going to leave the restaurant with the girls, and they leave Willie alone. Okay, so this is what happens. Okay, well, and so there is the conversation goes on between Biff and Happy, and as you see here, why don't you do anything for him? And Happy says, me, don't you give a damn for him, Hap? Now each one is trying to cast the blame on the other. Like Biff is trying to blame Happy for what happened to his father, and Happy in return also tries to blame Biff. So Happy was saying, me who goes away, who runs off. Okay. So the point of Happy is that um, it's not my mistake. I am stuck with him. I remained with him. I was taking care of him. The mistake is yours. The mistake is Biv's mistake. That's why it's because you ran away. You just left the house. You didn't care about him. If you cared about him, you would not have left. Okay, so this is the kind of bickering between the two brothers about their father. So you see here, Letta, and this tells us something about the personality of Happy. Letta, don't you want to tell your father? And Happy says, no, that's not my father. So Happy does not seem to be very proud of his father. Okay, in contrast to Biff, whatever happens to between Biff and Willie, Biff is still like proud of his father, or he was proud of his father. So Happy is not very much proud of his father. And here you see we have a change of scene from the present to the past. Okay, so we are moving from the setting of the restaurant in the present to the setting of the hotel room in the past. Okay, so you see Stanley picks up a chair and follows them off. Knocking is heard off left. The woman enters, laughing. Willie follows her. She is in the black slip. He is battering his shirt. Raw, sensuous music accompanies their speech. So you see the kind of music always changes according to the situation. So here, because we are only Willie and the woman in the room, that's why we see like the kind of music is kind of sensuous in music. Okay, so we are now turned to the hotel room scene. It's a very critical scene in the play because it was the turning point that turned everything upside down in the life of Willie Loman and the life of Biff and in the life of the whole family. So the woman was speaking to Willie, and Willie was saying to her, I'm lonely. I'm so lonely, as if he's trying to justify the fact that he's cheating on his wife by saying that he's lonely. Of course, this is a justification that some people might find convincing, others might find not convincing, but not justifiable. What he did was not justifiable, like feeling lonely or whatever. Okay, so it's just like a psychological justification. He wants he doesn't want to justify to the woman, but rather he wants to justify to himself. He wants to convince himself. It's not about the woman. Well, okay, so the knocking at the door continues, and Willie and the woman is asking Willie urgently to go and open the door. Okay, so here you see in the stage directions, we have the knocking is heard again. He takes a few steps away from her and she vanishes into the wing. This is important. She disappears now, okay? She goes to another part of the room. And so we have here just Biff and Willie, and it is later on that that Biff is going to discover the presence of the woman in the room of Willie Loman. So the light follows him, and now he is facing young Biff, who carries a suitcase. Biff steps towards him. The music is gone. So this is young Biff. He has flunked math. He did not pass. He's coming to Boston to see his father and ask his father to speak to the teacher of math. So Biff was saying to his father, Dad, I let you down. And here, this kind of phrasing is also indicative of the kind of relationship between Biff and Willie at that time. So you see, Biff is not speaking about himself. He doesn't say that I flunked math or I failed and so on, but rather he said to him, I let you down. I disappointed you. So as if it's not about Biff, but rather it's about Willie. So as if everything Biff is doing is just for Willie to make him proud. Okay, so when he speaks about that, when he tells the news, he's not telling the news about himself, but rather he's feeling guilty, not because he failed, but rather because he disappointed his father. So you see what how strong the relationship between them was at that time in the past. Okay, and here you see that Willie. This is a typical answer and question of Willie Loman. So Willie is asking, you mean to say Bernard wouldn't give you the answers? So we know that Biff did not pass math because he did not study hard enough for math. Okay, so Willie, instead of blaming his son for his failure, rather he's blaming Bernard. So, and so sometimes he's blaming the teacher, sometimes he's blaming Bernard, and he's ready to blame everyone else except his son. Okay, and we know that the mistake is the mistake of his son, not of anyone else. Okay, so Biff is asking Willie to go and speak to the teacher of math, Mr. Bambam. Okay, and he says to him that if he sees you, and he will be convinced because you can convince him. And this is also indicative of the kind of confidence that Biff has of his father, that his father is able to do whatever he wants to do. Okay, so if he asks the teacher of math will accept. Why? Because of the personality of Willie Loman. So still up to that point, Biff has a very big confidence in his father. Okay, so Woody is asking Biff, what happened? Why did the teacher of math flank you? Okay, and now you see that still he tries to cast the blame on the teacher, not on Biff. It's not like the teacher. It's not about Biff that he didn't study hard, he's not good at math, and he failed, but rather it was the teacher who caused them to fail. Okay, so as if there is a kind of enmity, as if the teacher is his enemy and he wanted him to fail. So he's asking about the reason, and Biff gives a reason, which is kind of funny. And he says to him, I was imitating the teacher and I was making fun of him. So he says to him, I crossed my eyes and talked with a lisp. And he is making fun here. There is a kind of speech pathology which is called Lisp, LISP. Okay, and Lisp is a kind of pathology for some people who are not able to pronounce the se sound, and instead of the se, they pronounce it as the. Okay, so Woody was laughing, okay, at the teacher. Okay, you did, the kids liked it, they nearly died of laughing. Yeah, what would you do? With the square root of 60, we is so and so. Okay, so Biff was trying to imitate the teacher and make fun of the teacher. And for Willie Loman, you see the kind of bad upbringing, how bad education he was giving to his sons. Okay, so instead of chiding his son, instead of blaming his son, instead of saying to his son that this is wrong, this is your teacher, you have to be respectful of him. And instead of that, he starts laughing with his son as if he encourages his son to do the bad things. Okay. And for him, it's not about the morality of it. It's not about whether it is right or wrong, but rather it's about whether the kids liked it or not. Okay. So, as if it is not about it's not about the teacher himself, but rather about whether other children, the other students, liked it or not. Okay, so you see how sick that is, and we see that here everything that happened, it is rather Willie who's to blame for it. Okay, so he was encouraging his son to do these bad things. Okay, and so while they were talking, the woman just shows up, and this is a very critical and sensitive moment to the whole play. Okay, so Biff is shocked by seeing the woman in the room of his father. Okay, so Willie looks at Biff, who is staring open mouthed, okay, and horrified at the woman. Okay, so Willie Loman was trying to explain and justify that I really don't know this woman, or that this woman lives in the room next door, and that they are painting her room, and this is why she came here to my room, and so on. And he was just trying to alienate himself, to distance himself from this woman. So, and he was also trying to push the woman urgently to go out, to dismiss her. Okay, the woman was trying to get her clothes in order to get out, and while Biff is still like shocked. And so Willie Loman was trying to restore his parental authority, was trying to give orders to Biff in order to say to Biff, I'm still your father. Okay, so he was saying to him, get my suits out of the closet, I'll get my valise. And Biff does not move because he's shocked. Okay, what's the matter? And Biff remains motionless, and tears falling. So he's reduced to tears. He's crying by what he saw. And she is a buyer. He's trying to explain and to justify to his son. Buys for J.H. Simmons. She lives down the hall. They're painting you don't imagine. Okay. And both men are broken up. Okay. And Will Loman was trying to give every excuse to Biff in order to convince him that he was not cheating. And then he was trying to justify that. Okay, so he says she's nothing to me, Biff. I was lonely. I was terribly lonely. So you remember this is the same excuse that he gave to himself just a moment ago. He was trying to say, you see, at the beginning he denied that he knows this woman, and then now he accepted that he knows this woman or that he has a relationship with this woman, but he gave a reason for that, and the reason is that he feels lonely. Biff does not buy all these things. Okay, you gave her mom's stockings. Okay, so Biff is also angry about that. He wants to go. Okay, Willie grabs him by the hand, doesn't want him to go. I gave you an order. Okay, don't touch me. Biff says, a liar. Okay, so you liar. This is the first time that Biff utters this word towards his father, and this is for Willie a very painful word to hear because Biff was looking at him as an idol, as a role model. Okay, to Biff the ideal was his father, but now he discovers that his father was all a lie. His father is just a fake. That's why he says to him, "You fake, you phony little fake." Okay, well, and so. Willie Loman was bursting at that. I gave you an order, and he was imagining that he was talking to Biff in the past, but he discovers he is reminded of the present. He's still in the restaurant in front of Stanley, and he's saying to him, "I gave you an order." Okay, and Stanley is also puzzled. What kind of order did Willie Loman give to him? So, and Willie kind of now returns to reality, returns to the present, and he recognizes and realizes that he is in the restaurant in front of Stanley and he is not speaking to young Biff. And so Stanley was helping Willie to get himself together, to get his act together, and to leave the restaurant. Okay, Willie Loman said to him, I am okay and I'm going home. But before he goes home, he wants to do something. And as you remember, he wanted to buy some seeds, okay, because he wants to plant them. And he says, I would better hurry. I've got to get some seeds. And he turns out the right, out to the right. I've got to get some seeds right away. Nothing is planted. I don't have a thing in the ground. Okay, so you remember we said the seeds are a symbol for his sons. Okay, because like the bringing up of his sons was a futile, was a failure. So he wanted to compensate in another thing. So by the seeds, as if planting the seeds is a symbol for um, delivering children and for bringing them up. So when he says nothing is planted, I don't have a thing in the ground, okay, he means that I don't have children, I don't have boys anymore. Okay, so he's turning to the plants in order to compensate for the lack of his success in bringing up his two children. And now again we have a change of scene. So we have Stanley, and then in the restaurant, and then we move to the house, and some time has passed. We go back again to the house of Willie Loman, and we have Linda sitting there at the table in the kitchen. And we have Willie Loman, who has arrived some moments ago, and he's in the garden. He's trying to plant the seeds that he has bought. The two boys come in, first Happy, and he's followed by Biff. They are carrying some flowers. They give them to Linda. Linda is very, very angry with them. Linda is not speaking to them. They try to speak to Linda, but she does not accept. And she's angry with them because they have left their father. Okay? They have invited their father for dinner, and they just left him alone in the restaurant. Okay, so Linda was very angry, and she is saying to them, "You are a pair of animals. No one, not another living soul, would have had the cruelty to walk out on that man in the restaurant. So this is why she's angry. Okay, so they ask where Willie Loman is. They wanted to speak to him, to apologize to him, but she does not answer them, and she is asking them to get away from Willie Loman. Okay, so they know later that he is in the garden, and we see Willie in the garden, and he was trying to implant some seeds, and we have beets and lettuce and many other plants. Okay, and he was moving from one spot to another, like was measuring the distance between each plant and the other. And at that moment, he imagines the appearance of Ben. So he says, because she has suffered, Ben, the woman has suffered. Okay, you understand me. So he appears that Ben he imagines that Ben appears, and Ben comes towards him, and it seems Willie wants to speak to Ben about something, and he is imagining Ben because there is nobody else he can talk to. Okay, so we know that this scene is not real. Okay, we know that Ben has gone for a long time, and Willie did not see him for quite a long time. Okay, so but he imagines Ben. Okay, so he says to him, "I have proposition, and I want you to think with me and to help me thinking about that. Okay, don't answer so quick. Remember, it is a guaranteed $20,000 proposition. Okay, and this is the proposition that he has, and he is asking the advice of Ben for. I've got nobody to talk to. Okay, and this is the reason why he recalls the character of Ben in his imagination, because there is nobody else he can talk to. Okay, well, and it seems that when he speaks about the $20,000, he's speaking about the insurance money, as if he wants to commit suicide so that the insurance company is going to give $20,000 to his family. Okay, so he's thinking about that, and Ben was not very much in favor of the idea. So Ben is saying it's called cowardly thing if you do that, if you kill yourself just to give your sons money. Okay, Willie, why does it take more guts to stand here, and does it take more courage to stand here the rest of my life ringing up a zero? So he says, why is not why is it cowardly? Why is it not courageous? So instead of continuing to live my life while making zero money, what else could I do to if I can make zero money? Okay, the thing is that I can um, make money by being dead rather than by being alive. And you remember when he was speaking to Charlie, he said to him, "You end up worth more dead than living," and he was just referring to that. So you remember he was not making any money, a zero amount of money, and from his work. Okay, so maybe by his death, he can make $20,000. Okay, well, and for Ben, you remember the realism of Ben. Ben, you remember, was a man who values everything only insofar as he can touch it, only insofar that is concrete, that is tangible. So for $20,000, he says that is something one can feel with the hand. Okay, so if it is something that you can feel with the hand, then it is a good thing. Okay, so Willie Loman explains now and says that there are two reasons mainly for his decision to commit suicide, okay, or to die. Okay, so you see here, this would not be another doubtful appointment. Then having $20,000 is not just like making an appointment. Like I finished my life making appointments. I didn't get anything out of these appointments. And it changes all the aspects because he thinks I'm nothing. See, and so he spites me. He just is disgusted by me. Okay, but the funeral, Ben, that funeral will be massive. And when he dies, his funeral when he dies, they'll come from Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, all the old timers with these strange licenses plates. That boy will be thunderstruck, will be shocked then because he never realized I am known. So this is the way he thinks. Like he is committing suicide because um, he will get money. which otherwise you cannot get. And the other thing, he wants his son Biff to know that his father was known, because he thinks that in his funeral, too many people will attend, okay, from different cities, okay, from Maine, from Massachusetts, from Vermont, from Hampshire, and from many other cities. And so Biff will be shocked as how well known and how well liked Willie Loman was, after he's dead. Okay, so you see that this is a very kind of a very silly sort of thinking. Like you die so that to prove to your son that many people, because many people have attended your funeral, you are well known. This is kind of crazy. Okay, Ben still does not agree, and he says he will call you a coward. It's not about, according to Ben, it's not about what other people are going to say. It's about your son. Okay, your son is going to call you a coward, and will call you a fool, and he will hate you. And this is really what something that we should respect Ben for. Ben is very realistic, and he is very far-sighted. He says, if your son, sorry, um, knows what you have done, he's not going to respect you, but rather he's going to disrespect you. He's going to hate you. He's going to consider you a coward and a fool. Okay, so Willie still is still not convinced. Okay, well, and he kind of remembers the old um, good days and so on. But then, how do we get back to all the great times? Used to be so full of light and comradeship, the slate riding in the winter, and blah blah blah. Okay, well, and Ben still wants to to end the conversation. Still, and this is typical of him. He says, "I still have a little time." And you remember we said Ben has a special relationship with time, because every time he appears in the play, he was just looking at his watch, and he was saying he just have got like 5 minutes to go, and he does not want to miss the plane or the train or whatever. Okay, so um, mm, this is all happening in the imagination of Willy Loman. And now, when Biff approaches him, he becomes conscious of the existence of Biff, and he starts to speak with Biff, or rather, Biff starts speaking with him. So Biff is taking the hue from Willie. I'm saying goodbye to you, Pop. I'm not coming back anymore. And so, Biff was saying to his father that I am leaving, okay, and we better leave for good. So I'm not coming home, and we should end it that way, okay. So it seems every time I'm home, we are going to quarrel. So it is better for us to just leave it just like that. I'm going home. I'm not going to show you my face again, and that's it. And Linda approves of that. She says, because you cannot go along with each other. So it's better that everyone will live in a different place. Okay, so Biff was saying to him, "It's not your fault. It is my fault. I'm a bum. I'm a failure, and so on. It has nothing to do with you." Linda is going to is also approving of that, but Willie's reluctant to speak to Biff. Okay, and Biff is getting angry because Willie just is also even here, even now, is just trying to deceive himself that he's something, that his son is something, while Biff was just trying to tell them that we are nothing. Okay, just tell the truth. The truth is that we are nothing. So there's too much like bickering between the father and the son and the mother, bit among that, and Happy was kind of really very much passive in this conversation. Well, so Biff was asking him, just let me go, okay? Well, and Biff here is also making a revelation. He's taking the rope pipe, and by which Willie Loman was trying to commit suicide, and he's showing it to Willie, and he's asking Willie, What is that? Linda becomes very angry. Happy becomes very angry. Willie denies any knowledge of that. Okay, and Biff is saying to Willie, and this is also quite painful for him, there'll be no pity for you. You hear it? No pity. So this is difficult. He was just planning to kill himself for the sake of his son, and his son is saying to him, "I'll not pity you when you die." Okay, well, and Linda, as you hear the spite he's saying to Linda, and he hates me. And Biff says, "No, you are going to hear the truth. What are you and what I am?" Okay, so. And this is a very beautiful sentence. He says to all three other members of the family, we never told the truth for 10 minutes in this house. So he's saying to them basically that we have been living in an illusion, and every one of you was fostering that illusion. Every one of you is just trying to deceive himself or herself. We are nothing. Even Happy, when he says that he's the assistant, he says to him, "No, you are one of two assistants to the assistant. You are not an assistant, and you are not going to be a manager. You know that, but you are just trying to deceive yourself." Okay, and he tells his mother that he has been in prison. That's why he was not having an address for 3 months. Okay, and Willie was asking about, well, and whose fault is that? You see that Willie is very sensitive about this. He was just trying to prove that this is not my fault, and it was just very satisfying, gratifying for him just to hear it from from everyone else that this is not your fault. So Biff was trying to say to him, it's not about whose fault it is, okay, but rather we are nothing. Okay, and here he also tries, like, also in part to cast the blame on Willie. Okay, so when Willie says it's not my fault, Biff says to him, and I know I got anywhere because you blew me so full of hot air I could never stand taking orders from anybody. That's whose fault it is. Okay. Well, and Willie, I hear that. Don't Biff. His mother is trying to make him stop, and Biff is getting very sharp and very angry and very frank with his father. So it's good time you heard that I had to be boss big shot in 2 weeks, and I am through with it. So it's just because you were always telling me that I am good, that I'm great, that I'm the best one, and so on. This filled me with hot air, filled me with pride. And so I couldn't work with anyone. Always with whomever I work, I consider myself to be better than them. That's why I'm not taking orders. And so if you don't take orders, people are not going to employ you because you're not the manager. And if you are not the manager, you have to take orders from the manager. So he is implying that he failed in every job that he has got because of his father, because his father was just trying to fill him with hot air. So the conversation goes on and on and on between them. And Biff even continues and says to him, I'm not a leader of men, Willie, and neither are you. You were never anything but a hard working drummer who landed in the ash can, like all the rest of them. I'm $1 an hour. Okay, so you say I'm not a leader. You convinced me that I'm a salesman, that I'm great, that I'm a leader, and I'm none of these. Okay, well, and here he continues and says to the father, I'm nothing. I am nothing, Bob. Can't you understand that? And so you see, Biff is getting to be more realistic, just like his uncle Ben and just like Charlie. Okay, well, and he's trying to get his father from his illusion. Okay, that they are something. He was very much realistic, and he's saying to his father that we are nothing. Okay, so he even becomes very, very harsh to his father, and he says to him, "Will you take that phony dream and burn it before something happen?" Okay, so struggling to contain himself, he pulls away and moves to the stairs. I'll go in the morning, put him to bed. Exhausted, he moves up the stairs to his room, and so he starts crying and he's saying to them that I'm leaving in the morning, and he's asking his mother to take his father to his bed because his father is tired, and so he needs to get some rest to sleep. Okay, and he becomes very emotional and cries. Okay, and um, this kind of rang a bell in the mind of Willie Loman that when Biff kind of started crying. So Willie, after a long pause, astonished and elevated, isn't that remarkable, Biff? He likes me. And Linda says, he loves you, Willie. Always did, Pop. So, um, with the speech of Biff to Willie Loman, no matter how harsh it is, but it was useful in that it proved to Willie Loman that his son Biff still loves him. And this is the thing that Willie Loman needed to hear. Okay, that Biff loves him or still loves him. Okay, he was trying to commit suicide many times, but he was trying to delay the suicide in order to hear this word from Biff, in order to get this impression from Biff. And now that he has heard this word and has taken this impression from Biff, now he is ready to commit suicide. So we have a contaminant appearance of Ben, and Ben still repeats these words: "The jungle is dark but full of diamonds." Okay, Willie, and so he just reminds Willie of what made him rich. Okay, and as we said like before, this is not Ben. Ben, his brother, did not utter these words, but rather it is the imagination of Willie. He's imagining Ben uttering these words. So they are mainly the words of Willy Loman, okay? But he wanted to hear them from somebody else. He wanted to hear them from Ben, okay? So that's why he is imagining Ben speaking these words, okay? And when he says the 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 jungle is dark and but full of diamonds, here, Ben might also be referring to death or to what Willie Loman is thinking now, especially about death. Okay, like death itself um, is dark. He's going to the darkness because he does not know what happens after death. But it's full of diamond because it will give you money after all, the $20,000. Okay, so they go. Willie goes. Sorry, Biff and Happy go upstairs just to sleep so that they will leave the next morning. And Linda is asking Willie to come to sleep, and Willie says to her that I will come to sleep just some minutes later. Okay, and Willie is still excited by the prospect that Biff loves him. Okay, and you see Ben still repeats these words stuck there but full of diamonds. Okay, well, and Woody is saying, can you imagine that magnificence? Sorry, with $20,000 in his pocket, and so you see that even now when he's speaking about like dying in order to give money, he's not speaking about his family, he's not speaking about Linda, he's not speaking about Happy, he's not concerned about Happy, his younger son, but rather about Biff. And when he says in his pocket, means in the pocket of Biff. Okay, so and he says like later when Biff will have this amount of money, the $20,000, when the mail comes, he will be ahead of Bernard again. And you see how sick his thinking is. Like he wants his son, when he gets the insurance money, he wants his son to be ahead of Bernard. Okay, he does not think that, but Bernard is a success, and every penny that he has made is made because of his own work. Okay, Biff, even if he becomes rich, and $20,000 do not make one rich. Okay, so even when he becomes rich, this is because of money that he did not make with his own hard work. So no matter how much money Biff is going to get, still Bernard is better because Bernard is success. He worked hard and he's working harder in order to make money. Biff did not make money by himself. So you see that even now, even before his death, even moments before his death, you see how flawed, how mistaken his thinking is. Okay, so Linda is saying to him that you please come upstairs. Okay, and you see Linda, Willie, you coming up. Linda is worried. She is upstairs in her room, but she's worried about Willie. And Willie is uttering a gap of fear, whiling about as if to quiet her. He says, "Ish, just be quiet." He turns around as if to find his way. Sounds, faces, voices seem to be swarming in upon him, and he flicks at them, crying, "Shh." Suddenly, music, faint and high, stops him. He rises in intensity, almost an unbearable scream. He goes up and down on his toes and rushes off around the house. Okay, Linda's still calling him Willie, and there is no answer. He does not answer. And Biff and Linda and Happy, every one of them is quite worried. Okay. Linda, okay, with real fear, Willie, answer me, Willie. And there is a sound of a car starting and moving away at full speed. It seems he was trying to commit suicide by the car, by killing himself by the car. And Linda is saying no, and Biff rushing down the stair, and he says, pop, and the car speeds off. The music crashes down in the frenzy of the sound, which becomes the soft pulsation of a single cell string. Biff slowly returns to his bedroom. He and Happy gravely don their jackets. Linda slowly walks out of her room. The music has developed into a dead march. The leaves of day are appearing over everything. Charlie and Bernard, soberly dressed, appear and knock on the kitchen door. So we have a very quick change of scene here. Willie Loman went out. He switched on the car. He drove the car with full speed. He made an accident. He's dead. Um, and now we are moving very fast to a moment after the death of Willie Loman. Now it's kind of funeral, a requiem. Now Biff and Happy are emerging from their room, and they are like dressing to attend the funeral of their father. Linda is also dressed, and we have Charlie and Bernard also dressed somebody to attend the funeral of Willie Norman. Okay, so and they go to the funeral, and this is the end of Act Two. And after that, we have the Requiem, and the Requiem is like the mass of the prayer for the death. So now we have mainly five persons. We have Biff and Harvey, Linda, Charlie, and Bernard. Okay, nobody else has attended the funeral. Okay, you remember the illusion of Willie Loman that too many people are going to attend, and Biff is going to be shocked by how many people are going to attend, by how well known and well liked his father is. Okay, all this has gone for nothing. Okay, so Linda is asking, why didn't anybody come? It was very nice funeral. Charlie is trying to give her some solace. Linda, but where are all the people he knew? Maybe they blame him. Okay, so um, Linda is just in the same illusion that she thinks that too many people are going to turn up for the funeral, but in fact nobody appeared. Okay, so Biff speaks about his father, and he says, "You know something, Charlie? There is more of him in that front stoop than in all the sales he ever made." Okay, so he Biff was remembering the good days when his father was working and making the roof, making the extra bathroom, making the cellar, and so on. Okay, and Biff here realized that Willie Loman was not created to be a salesman. He was created to be a handyman, like somebody who works in building and so on. He was very skilled in that. He was very good at that. He was not very good in making sales. Okay, so um, you s- Biff was saying, speaking to Charlie, and he says, "You know something, Charlie? There is more of him in that front stoop than in all the sales he ever made." Charlie, yes, he was a happy man with a batch of cement. So his passion was with handiwork and with the work of hand, not with sales. Okay, so that's why Linda was saying he was so wonderful with his aunt. Okay, so he was very good at that. He was not very good at sales. So maybe if the decision that he has made about his own career to be a salesman, maybe that was the wrong decision for him. Maybe if he has chosen to be like a worker, to be a builder, to be a constructor, or something else, maybe he might have succeeded better. Okay, that's why Biff, you see, Biff is very harsh and always to the point when he speaks about his father or to his father. He had the wrong dreams, all wrong. And this is the identification of Biff. He identifies what went wrong for Willie Loman. Okay, and Happy was saying to him, "Don't say that." You see, always Happy is not concerned about the truth, is not concerned about confronting the truth, but rather he's very much concerned about just like trying to say nice thing, but that's why he's trying to prevent Biff from identification, from this identification of the mistake of Willie Loman. And Biff was saying he never knew he was, okay, who he was. Like this is the problem of Willie Loman, as Biff was saying. So if he had known very well who he was, that he's a man that is not made for sales, that he's a man who is made um, for building or for making or craft and so on, he might have succeeded. Charlie and everyone else were trying um, to give excuses for Willie. Okay, nobody is blaming him except Biff. Okay, Biff is saying, "I now know who I am, kid." Okay, and Biff Happy was saying, "All right, boy, I'm gonna show you and everybody else that Willie Loman did not die in vain." So still Happy is full of this kind of pride, of this kind of empty pride. So that's why Biff, with a hopeless glance at Happy, okay, he says to his mother, "Let's go, mom." So Biff is hopeless about Happy because he knows that for Happy to succeed, he has to confront the truth, which Happy refuses till now. Happy refuses to face the truth. Okay, that's why he says still the same spirit that I'm going to be so and so and so and I'm going to be successful. I'm going to make my father proud and blah blah blah. But Biff knows that this is all in vain. This is all just empty words. Okay, that's why he is looking hopelessly at Happy. Okay, so now everyone else is moving. Linda is asking them for some minutes to speak to Willie, and she says to him, these are the last lines of the play, and they are preserved for Linda. Okay, and that's why we said Linda is a very important character in the play, and hopefully we'll have time to speak about that further later. Linda is saying, "Forgive me, dear, I can't cry." I don't know what it is, but I can't cry. I don't understand it. Why did you ever do that? Help me. Willie, I can't cry. It seems to me that you're just on another trip. I keep expecting you. And still, she does not want to believe that he is dead. Willie, dear, I can't cry. Why did you do it? Why did you die? Why did you kill yourself? I search and search and I search, and I cannot understand it, Willie. I made the last payment on the house today. Today, dear, and there'll be nobody home. Okay, so um, you remember this is a sentence that Willie Loman uttered a time before when he said that it's very ironical that you are going to pay for the house, you and your life paying for a house, and when by the time you are making the last payment, there's nobody here to live in that house anymore because um, now Willie is dead. Biff and Happy are planning to travel, and Linda, I don't think if she stays in that house or moves somewhere else. So this is the irony that they have made the last payment for the house, but there's nobody here to live in that house. So this is the way the play ends. Okay, I wish to see you on Monday. There are many things that we will be able to discuss on Monday. So until then, please try to read the text. Okay, try to pay attention to all the points that I have raised here. Thank you very much and see you in the lecture.